Were you aware that one of K-Flock's own gang members is spying on him? In 2020, K-Flock reportedly used a gun against someone who had used one against his friend. Today, the friend he protected is testifying against him. In this instance, Brockington, also referred to as Dooge on the streets, is the snitch. The best buddy of K-Flock, Brockington, was in prison for street peddling and entered into a plea agreement with the authorities, promising to warn against trafficking. But based on the most recent reports of the Flock in his jail cell, he seems to be doing well.
Talk to them, Flock. Talk to them, my dog. Soon come home, man. You got these little boys walking around with no jewels, Flock. They need you. They need you, Flock.
Understanding the case is essential because the snitch could affect his release date. K-Flock is confident that he will be free because of his defense team. After you got hit, who called you in the hospital? Was the question prosecutors asked Dooge, also known as Brockington, in court to determine FL's release date. In response, Dooge said, "You know we got you, bro." When the prosecution verified that KK was speaking to Flock, Dooge said, "Yes, I was going to retaliate against whoever hit me." Attorneys claimed that according to Dooge, someone was harmed during the event, and they took revenge on him. In response to the question of whether he witnessed K-Flock brandishing a pistol, Dooge snitched out the Flock and said that he did, while arguing with rival team members who had been circling their block. The fact that K-Flock was charged with Oscar Hernandez's death on December 23, 2021, makes this completely consistent with his passing. Flock might be seen walking down the sidewalk on camera on this particular day, K-Flock and his sister went to the city wearing expensive trousers, a blue coat, and a shy mask. Importantly, Flock was on Instagram Live, shouting at his operations before putting his phone down, right as he entered the frame. The barbershop is seen being passed by Flock in the video. "What are you looking at?" says Oscar, who emerges from inside to meet him. After they had had enough, they began yelling at one another, and they have a long history together. Screams to keep his sister safe. Oscar continued to follow K-Flock. He briefly hesitated, though, and thought about returning to the barbershop against his better judgment, which heightened the dispute. Oscar was seen reaching into his jacket pockets in the events that followed. K-Flock saw this and, still being pursued, took his gun from his jacket and hit Oscar multiple times. Oscar tried to flee back to the barbershop, but tumbled over it when the Flock stopped firing, leaving him lying on the pavement alone and trying to save his life. Witnesses contacted 911 on the spot. Oscar sadly passed away after being rushed to a hospital in nearby New York. Oscar's slides he was wearing and shell casings were the only remnants of the crime scene. For the first 24 hours after his death, the NYPD thought he had escaped punishment. Law authorities looked to the public for help after security footage from the site showed that the masked man was unknown and that they had no leads. To get assistance in identifying the criminal, they posted this photo of him. Regretfully, Flock's music career resulted in an excessive number of spectators. When his Instagram Live revealed that he was wearing the same coat, fans hurried to notify the NYPD. Issued a warrant for his arrest very immediately, and realizing that time was running short, he invested what little time he had left in hiring one of the best lawyers in the world. When his lawyer released a statement yesterday, the two met the following day and headed into the NYPD's 30th precinct. I accompanied Kevin as he gave himself in to investigators in the 30th precinct. Upon learning that he was wanted, I quickly contacted the NYPD, and we have begun our analysis of these assertions. After evaluating the situation and further examining the Diaz noteworthy revelation, we will have a conversation with Bile. After Clock's lawyer received all of the government evidence, he started putting together his defense.
When the guy hits the ground and is found, he's got a loaded that was in his pocket that his hand was on at the time. We consider that to be self-defense.
So he did keep him in self-defense.
That's what the allegation is. I don't want to talk too much about the details of the case,
Okay.
but the government claims that he pulled the. But at the same time, the person that was ground had his hand on a illegal loaded.
Okay. So without saying too much, you're arguing obviously self-defense.
That could be one of the arguments, self-defense, and I would say to the public, somebody's walking up to you with a loaded, it's pretty clear he's going to use it,
Mm-hmm.
with a criminal record a mile long, do you want to get or do you not want to?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't hesitate to pull the.
Flock has a long-standing connection to the Bronx Third Side Squad, and the NYPD said immediately after the statement that they believe the incident was the result of a long-standing rivalry between street teams. Flock was known to have been significantly involved in street crimes in the years before this occurrence, and as a prominent character in the streets, he was often targeted and had a lot of power over decisions. His best friend said this after his operations retaliated, harming his reputation in the rap industry.
Okay, but so I saw some fans who were off at both me and academics after K-Flock got locked up because, well, just because I guess, like, you know, in our tone when we talked about it, you know, it might have seemed like we were being a little too presumptuous. But is that weird for you? Because I'm sure you see people all the way from rappers to whoever acting like, you know, your boy is just done and he's cooked in this situation.
I ain't gonna lie, people, especially people that don't even be knowing, like, y'all don't even know what's going on, bro.
Yeah. We even saw Bobby talk on K-Flock saying,
What's it like for you watching the K-Flock thing happen? That's crazy. Next big artist coming out of New York.
I love Flock, so I like that. That's my guy.
Okay.
But, you know, I'm wishing him the best right now, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, for the alleged charges they pushing on him, you know what I'm saying? I'm wishing his family the best. I'm wishing the whole team the best and everything, you know what I'm saying? And I hope he beat them alleged charges, you know what I'm saying? Because he got a lot of future brightness he got, and I hope, you know what I'm saying?
That would be a
Here
sad
and
story
there.
if that's the end of it.
We ain't gonna think like that, you know what I'm saying?
You gotta stay positive.
While Flock's lawyers worked on a self-defense claim, the situation took a far worse turn when it was discovered that K-Flock had been charged with many charges of racketeering conspiracy, or the RICO charges, by a federal grand jury. Hip-hop artists reacted to the news by saying that K-Flock had recently been involved in an RICO with DJ Academics. Even worse, they disclosed that the federal government had just issued an indictment against K-Flock for an RICO offense, which carries a mandatory minimum punishment of life in prison if he fails to prove his innocence. Additionally, he is still facing state accusations that have led to his imprisonment, which are connected to Bowie's statement regarding Wayandele Melly. They will do anything to keep you.
When they want you, they want you. I knew they wanted them bad when they waited for that law to get passed. So it'd be 8-4.
Oh, right, yeah.
You know, they waited all the way till that law got passed to take him to trial.
Yeah, he was in jail for what, 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, they could have been took you to trial.
You're right.
They waited till that law got passed and took him to trial a couple months later. When they want you, man. Just don't see how he didn't get a bond after a news trial.
Flock's lawyer, however, made a statement stating, "We've been fighting Kevin's state charges for over a year now because the incident was a clear act of self-defense, so we're not surprised by the federal allegations. Although the charge was not forceful, it is remarkable on video that it is now the basis for a penalty charge. It is evident that Kevin was on the verge of being impacted after making an effort to leave the other individual. Only then did Kevin defend himself and his sister with an item as an armed team member was ready to draw his own." The good thing about his pocket for K-Flock, according to court reports, K-Flock's trial is scheduled for today. As expected for his first trial, Flock seemed distraught toward the end of the trial, but his attorneys told him in hushed tones that they were going to win so much that Flock's legal team posted a statement from him while he was in jail. The prosecutors, they added, are ill-prepared, hesitating a lot, not responding to the judge's queries, and offering little evidence to support Flock's attorney defense.
I know what's going on, man. Flock, I know something good. Man, like, me to the guys, man. Hey, yo, like, I'll be back real soon. Shout out to my fans and my supporters, man. I love all y'all, man. For all of you out there, the guys, man. For me, and do what y'all supposed to do, man. For me, get through life correctly, man. Like, get money, man. You know, man, I'll see you real soon.
It may surprise you to learn that the federal government targets many rappers. Lil Baby was arrested by Atlanta police last week.
The investigation aspect of this, Lamont Freeman was allowed to be a 13-year-old for 27 minutes before gang violence ultimately took his life. Gang violence was orchestrated by adults in our city, and cowardly acts of an Atlanta-based rapper that decided to go over into a rival gang stronghold and shoot a music video in a place that he knew he should not have been. And in the subsequent days, we saw and ultimately the of 2 children as a result of his cowardly actions, and you know who you are. And I tell you that this team will work relentlessly to hold you and the persons that you are affiliated with responsible for those actions.
Are we witnessing a federal government takedown? We even saw as the Jacksonville sheriff dropped name on Young G Ace.
So Young and Ace has long been known in Jacksonville. We are consistently monitoring those groups. We have people that are always watching them. I won't speak to the chief's investigation. That's up to TPD. We don't have an investigation on him right now, but he can't move around in Jacksonville without us knowing about it. And that's for the betterment of our community.